Right, so Shamima Begum, the 15-year-old groomed by terrorists who became an ISIS bride and subsequently had her UK citizenship revoked, has lost her appeal to have that reinstated. She's British born. She was groomed in London, and our justice system has just gone, not our fault, not our problem. I've said for years she should be brought back to the UK and face our judicial system here for the crimes she may have committed. She is one of ours regardless of any legal status. Her appeal, being heard by the Special Immigrations Appeals Commission, SIAC, was considering whether the decision to strip her of her citizenship by then Home Secretary Sajid Javid in 2019 was lawful. And despite them admitting there was credible suspicion she was indeed trafficked, some 60% of the women in the Syrian detention camp Shamima Begum is now in were trafficked, according to the human rights organisation Reprieve, and the judge in this appeal accepted that was likely the case here. But Javid was not required to consider how she got there in his decision to revoke her citizenship. He's the Home Secretary. Surely the buck stops with him with such things. How screwed up is that? It doesn't matter how you got there or who took you there. If you ended up there, you could have had your citizenship revoked. Begum is one of 212 British women in this same situation right now. It should be noted that Javid claimed she had travelled to Syria voluntarily, despite there being no proof of this, the court accepting the contrary, it being something he was not required to consider. And so it shouldn't come as much of a surprise that the judge overseeing the appeal called Javid's attitude stark and unsympathetic. Bit of an understatement, isn't it? Far-right extremism has been on the rise for years in this country, and it certainly doesn't help when the Tories are becoming ever more extreme themselves. But the erosion of our security services, policing of terrorism and extremism has fallen victim, like everything else, to years of austerity. Cuts made where more investment was needed. The world has been becoming a more dangerous place since well before the Tories got back into power, showing they really didn't give a damn about it once they did, nor by extension the safety of any of us. If she was the victim of a grooming gang here in the UK, a victim of child rape, for example, there'd be no question that those who did the grooming would be the ones condemned and not the victim. So why is this different just because she's ended up in another country? A young, impressionable child, 15, fell victim to a sick terrorist group for their own ends. She ended up married and pregnant at 15, has had 3 children, all of whom have died, and is now still only 23. This entire affair has been a demonstration of the depravity and uncaring abusiveness of this government towards its own citizens, victims of its own failings, whether it chooses to recognise them as such or not. She's British. She was born here. End of. You can guarantee if she was white or she was rich, she'd be hung by now. I'll interject here briefly for the benefit of the right-wingers and the trolls who might be watching this and will bleat about me being a woke lefty on this issue and who are fond of bringing up a chap called Jack Letts, Jihadi Jack, a white UK-Canadian dual national who has also been stripped of his British citizenship, the British half of it, after being accused of joining ISIS, which he'd always denied. For one, he was an adult when he went out to the Middle East, not a child. And for two, he holds dual nationality, or did until he had half of it stripped, so he still had somewhere to go. He hasn't been rendered stateless by this, unlike Shamima Begum. So if you're going to make that comparison, you're missing the point and, well, you're an apologist for grooming, frankly. I'll also bring up the example of Rhiannon Rudd, a white 15-year-old here accused of terrorism against whom the charges were dropped when the evidence of her being groomed came to light. Please examine your own life choices if punching down on a young girl, now a young woman, is the hill you want to die on. Begum remains in a Syrian detention camp. She's trapped there. Unless a request to send people in the camp home is received by the respective countries of origins, the Kurdish administration of the camp won't let them leave. She will remain there indefinitely until and unless she's repatriated here, which she absolutely should be. She was groomed here. That's a British failing. It happened to her as a child, a British failing. She was exploited and it happened here, another British failing. And this Tory administration won't take responsibility for any of that, despite presiding over all of it. The current Home Secretary could resolve this, but it's Suella Braverman, for God's sake. So you've got more chance of seeing Vladimir Putin dance the can-can than the Home Office making the necessary intervention. The Court of Appeal admitted to all of this, and so the legal fight will go on. The appeal court's remit was as limited as it is, and it couldn't act upon these admissions. I said already, if she was white, you can damn well be assured this story would be different, but for how long will that hold? Join a noisy protest outside this country and you might get barred from coming back? Are such things really beyond the realms of possibility? Because if they can revoke British citizenship arbitrarily, even due to your actions as a child, then they can do it to any of us, but most especially to anyone of foreign descent, because your citizenship here appears to be more conditional than anyone else's. You're now a de facto second-class citizen, in effect, and that is sickening.